Samsung, what just happened? With one update, they removed HGIG from their best TVs of 2024 and 2025. Yep, no warning. One over-the-air update later and you lost HGIG. Now, many of you are asking, what's HGIG? Gamers will know what I'm talking about, but this is why we tell you, keep your TVs from auto updating until you find out what does that update do, unless you're KG. So he forced an update via USB and now he's gaming on SDR. Check out his video. And so while Samsung is dealing with your wrath for kicking HGIG to the curb like it was Dolby Vision, China is advancing technologies in both TV and cinema, all in today's FOMO show. Hey friends, want to upgrade to Windows 11 Pro but can't afford the official price of $199? How about $21 or Windows 10 for $16 with my discount code SF20? Thanks to our sponsor, Whokeys. Yes, Black Friday is here. Get an additional 30% off with my code SF20. Go to Whokeys.com, add Windows 11 Pro to your cart, apply my discount code SF20, and bam, only $21. Here's how we activate it. Go to your Whokeys account at the top right under User Center, click on My Purchased Orders, click on View Keys and Code. Click Get the Key. Copy the Windows 11 Pro key under Code Card. Then go to your system settings, scroll down and click Activation. Click Change Product Key. Paste the key code, click Next, and you're done. So don't miss out on these amazing deals. Click on my links in the video description below. A big thank you to KG for taking it for the team and installing the update just to see what it would do for science. And yes, now he's stuck without HGIG. But of course, it begs the question, how many of you really do use HGIG? Question number one. And if you're a Samsung TV owner, do you care if you don't even use HGIG? But for those who are unaware, what is HGIG? So this is the setting. It is an HDR setting that allows gamers to select what we describe as a more accurate to creators' intent HDR, right? Remember, Samsung was a founding member of HGIG, the HDR Gaming Interest Group. Some complain it's too dim, so they don't use it. Others like it for its additional shadow detail, maybe, better color gradients. It really depends game to game, TV to TV, but ultimately HGIG, as defined by everyone, including Samsung itself, this is the most accurate HDR to the creator's intent. Now, which Samsung TV models are affected? Strangely enough, they're top flagship models for sure, both OLED and Neo QLED, they're mini LED TVs. So 2024 models are among the QD OLED, S90D and S95D. Among the Neo QLEDs last year is the QN90D and the QN85D. This year, similarly, the S90F and S95F QD OLEDs, and among their mini LEDs, the QN90F and the QN80F. So the big question is whether this was intentional or was it a mistake? Some users are arguing that maybe it's a bug and they'll address it because they paused this rollout and canceled it altogether in Europe. But in Korea, their home country, it's still rolling out, it's still available. So what gives? Now, I have reached out to Samsung USA and they're looking into it. Obviously, they don't know anything about this. They found out through me. So I said, look, people are concerned. I know you guys don't know what's happening in Europe and you don't know what's happening in Korea, but you do know what's going to happen in the US. Let us know, is this firmware coming to the US? And if it is, do they recognize that gamers simply want options? Even if they don't use HGIG, let them know that if they update to this latest firmware, HGIG is gone, and then the narrative becomes, is Samsung still the most recommended gaming TV without HGIG? Now, for non-gamers, does this affect you? Because HGIG is exclusively a gaming feature. And for gamers, do you care? These are all questions that I'm wondering if Samsung asked itself, assuming it's not a mistake, before they did this, because I do think that it is a huge feature for gamers, but then again, maybe I'm overstating the importance of HGIG. And if you're wondering what's with the tank top, it's because I got a memo from Brian's Tech Therapy, that this week is tank top week, so here we are. And speaking of tank top week, don't forget this Saturday is the live stream of the annual TV shootout the king of TVs will be crowned. Brian and I will be hosting, and yes, it's going to get pretty hot with all those TVs and 2 reference monitors burning up the room. So I may have to wear this tank top again. Just practicing, right? Seeing if it fits. And while Samsung is somewhat mishandling its leadership in the TV space, the Chinese brands are going the other way. Both Hisense and TCL up in units sold and revenues earned. Hisense 20% increase in units and 19% increase in revenues. TCL 19% increase in units and 16% in revenues. That's pretty amazing given where they were 4 or 5 years ago. Today, they are becoming leaders in this space. And speaking of TCL, they are committed to inkjet printed OLEDs, specifically larger panels. They announced a commitment to build out their 8.6 generation factory, which is capable of up to 65-inch panels. Now, I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, great, 65-inch inkjet printed OLED. Let's hold on. Before we get into whether we'll see an inkjet printed TV, what are the benefits of an inkjet printed OLED panel? First, that color purity, very similar to QD-OLED, right? Direct view RGB, except it's inkjet printed. This is better than WOLED and arguably could be better than QD-OLED. Second advantage is it gets brighter. We're talking full screen brightness naturally will be a little bit brighter than both QD-OLED and WOLED, but its specular highlights are limited. Now, this could be an issue, and we don't know what its lifetime will be like. But more importantly, TCL has not committed to making TVs. It looks like they're focused on making IT, specifically products for monitors and smaller, right? iPads, tablets, and monitors. So 27-inch, 34-inch, 32-inch, 48-inch even. Not quite committed to TVs just yet, but then that raises a different question. We're so used to hearing QD-OLED and RGB primary tandem WOLED. We're used to hearing them hitting over 2000 nits peak brightness, close to 2000 nits, 4000 nits even. Well, I'll tell you right now, inkjet printed RGB OLED is not going to get that bright in specular highlights, although its full screen may be brighter. Does this make a difference for you? And I think this is where TCL may be hesitating, because they're like, wait, it may be quote unquote better image quality, but people are still in the middle of the brightness war. And if we don't hit those same brightness levels, like 4000 nits is the thing now, would they even buy our TV? So you let me know in the comments below if you hear QD-OLED or WOLED, primary RGB, WOLED, hitting 4000 nits or more, and then you hear an inkjet printed OLED not even coming close to that, which TV would you get, even if the inkjet printed OLED can be said to be more color accurate? And speaking of China, apparently high frame rate movie watching is a thing in China. The latest movie, Jurassic World Rebirth, is being released in 48 frames per second. Now, this is surprising because we always thought, wait, high frame rates is a no-no in cinema or among cinema purists, right? But not so in China. They love it, they embrace it, and it's only being released as a high frame rate format in China, not anywhere else in the world, because they realize, or rather they prefer, that smoothness, right? The ability to, when it's in high action, you want the smooth motion resolution, and then slow it down for more cinematic scenes so it doesn't look too much like soap opera. But either way, the Chinese cinema industry is definitely embracing high frame rates. And so that brings the question to you guys. What are your thoughts on 48 frames per second? 60, 100? How high do you think we need to go? Now, personally, I think we should have it for sports. I prefer 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second. I mean, give me 1080p, 120 to watch any sport all day long, more than 4K 30. 4K 60, okay, it's still an improvement, but 1080p 120, that's going to be smooth. You're going to see that ball so clearly. Unfortunately, the bandwidth is not there, but I think the future is there for high frame rate sports. That's what I would prefer for sure. And don't forget to tune in this weekend for the shootout. Will your favorite TV brand win the best TV, King of TVs for 2025?